Okay. Yes, I think we're now live. I'm hoping that we're not gonna go overboard with this live stream today, and there are like five major discussion points that I want to do for this live stream, and we will be going through each one of those special points for this live stream at a breakneck speed, so that each and every point that needs to be covered will be covered. Okay, so before we begin, may I ask everyone to please share and give a thumbs up for this live stream para mas marami yung makakita ng live stream natin and maka-join sa ating live stream. And I also wanted that before we begin the live stream today with the topic of what went wrong and what can we do to right those wrongs during our Miss Universe 2022 campaign, um, I want to warn muna everybody that this is not going to be an easy topic to discuss. Simply because there are a lot of people and fans who are still at the process of mourning the unplacement, mourning the non-inclusion in the top 16, as well as there are still people who are still at the grieving process and are not yet over the dabda na process, yung denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So not everybody is at the fifth step. So I would warn everyone that if you are not yet at the process of healing, you're not yet at the point where you can accept and look at the campaign that we had for Miss Universe at a very objective and non-emotional na standpoint. I do request for you to not join this live stream. This is the first time that I will be asking this from anybody who has not yet processed the grief with regards to what happened. Because I know there will be a lot of commenters later on who's going to be angry, who's going to be, gaslighting anything and everything that we say in this live stream. So I hope that in order for us to maintain peace in this live stream and have a very intelligent, have a very objective and research based na conversation on what happened, we all should take a moment if kaya na ba natin na makita kung ano yung mga areas where we did wrong. Okay, so I am hoping that for those who are new to the channel and are not yet completely at a positive and good mental headspace, I urge you to, not join this live stream because we are going to be very, we are going to be very honest with the things that we observed and the things that we need to work on for the next pageant campaign. Okay? So I hope that is clear for to everyone, and I hope na hindi kayo maging balat sibuyas na konting kritisismo, konting pagpupuna, nasasaktan kayo. Okay? So let's start muna with the kamustahan with everyone. Marami ang medyo maagang dumating ngayon sa ating live stream. So thank you for that. Ping, Rodvin Fiel, and Hajiev, isa sa mga naunang nag-join sa ating live stream ngayon. So hello and welcome. Ayan, si Jeff Tuna nandito din. Kumusta? Let's try muna siguro to read some comments before we start the body of our discussion, the main points of our discussion. Okay, so Ping says, "Magandang gabi, Sir Jason. I'm so excited to hear and learn from you." Jeff Tuna says, "I think the next queen and the NUPH org especially should be more proactive. They should be more aggressive in their campaign and treat each edition as a new horizon to ponder." YouTube user 1329 says, "Good evening, Sir Jason. Kumusta po? Happy to participate in your live discussions tonight. I hope na mag-enjoy ka din, YouTube user 1329, because these are points that is going to be a bitter pill to swallow. But it needs to be done so that we are able to move forward faster. Because if we're just gonna dwell on the negative vibes and negative atmosphere of not placing in Miss Universe this year, we are just going to just feed the depression and the anger and the frustration. So we need to um, be very focused and pinpoint what are the things that went amiss, and what are the things that we can do to correct that. Kasi we need to to self correct our ourselves, so that we are able to recalibrate at a much better standpoint later on, para hindi tayo nangangapa. As early as now, let's learn from our mistakes and then execute what are the things that we can do better. Okay, Rodvin Fiel says, good evening, sir. Present po ako sa class tonight. Waiting ako sa thoughts nyo regarding this topic. Ayan. Hajiev says, hello sir, my 2 cents. Hindi na maximize yung 7 months prep to strengthen advocacy, interact with community, and fashion game plan. Okay, Love Nimrod. Hello, Love Nimrod. Hi, Jessan. I'm just here to support you. Thank you very much for the support. I'm very happy na despite the very, how do you say this, very sensitive topic that we're going to discuss today, nandyan kayo na maging support ko. Thank you. Hajiev, only question lang, was online fan behavior really a factor? If yes, dapat nung na principal's office sila ni Laxmi, MUPH should have been more proactive in addressing this. Hajiev, it's not a scored part, but definitely if you have some countries who are misbehaving, you have to remember pala, the Miss Universe organization has a hand on who makes top 16. It's not just only the judges. That is why we saw Paula Schubert and Amy Emmerich sit at the interview table, because they are also, looking at the girls and assessing them. So, with that being said, and I think it was also even announced during the finals night that the Miss Universe organization, together with the judges, selected the semifinalists. That creates, if the organization is aware that there are countries and fans misbehaving on social media, and they are aware of it, that creates a unconscious bias towards our representative. They might not be fully aware of it, but at the back of their head, they are subconsciously already forming an opinion with regards to our representative. And that is a very dangerous dangerous situation, because even if you try not you try to curb that bias, because it's unconscious, hindi mo siya napapansin, and therefore it will creep in, no matter how much you control and how much fair you want the process is going to be. So, and we will be talking about that a little bit later on, further down the line. Okay. Darwin Cruz, I hope the MUP recalibrate this time, choose the right girl with passion and good advocacy, created impact in the community. We don't need a girl with just a pretty face, kailangan makuda din. We've mentioned this, time and time again, that um, hindi na enough that you are only physically gorgeous. You need to bring something else into the table, whether it's um, with your accomplishments, whether it's through your ability to communicate, to inspire other people, or whether it's the ability to engage with people. And I think there are some people that I will be mentioning later on that we can learn from, with regards to that. Nasaan na ba to? Lemuel 23.5, sir. Looks like makakasama niyo si Luis Portelas para sa screening for Binibining Pilipinas and MUPH first time magsama-sama to cover my favorite pageant vloggers. We actually when we had a Christmas party last December. Oh my God, I forgot what date. It was, I think, first week December. Nabanggit namin kay Luis that if he has the means to stay longer, he should try to cover the Binibining Pilipinas pageant because the atmosphere there is much more like Miss Universe. If there is a national pageant that has the same energy to it, the same, fan following and the same level of excitement for it, that would be Binibining Pilipinas, and it would be a shame if you don't cover Binibining Pilipinas. Okay, Nico Veneracion. Hello, Nico. Tagal na tayong magkakilala, and thank you very much for supporting us in our live stream today. Hello, Sir Jason. Greetings from Australia. So sad, 12-year consecutive placement of Philippines has finally ended. Hu. I already anticipated na mangyayari ito to one of these years kay Celeste Pana timing. Bandi kot. Bandi, baka naman pwede mo kong palitan yung last name mo kasi hirap akong enunciate yung last name mo. Good evening, Sir Jason. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you, Bandy. This recent edition of Miss Universe is a lesson in humility. Maybe this is time for all pageant fans in all of Southeast Asia to unite like the Latinos do. I agree because ang bitter pala ng humble pie. But I think for some fans like me who has been watching pageants since the 90s, hindi na ganun kasakit yung hindi tayo nag-place because kumbaga parang we've developed muscle memory to resist yung depression that goes along after not placing because we had 10 years of of training of not placing, and therefore we're built differently, I would suppose. Okay, so maybe that kind of resilience also comes from the fact that we have experience not placing 10 years na straight. So I think bumalanse naman na kahit paano 12 years tayong straight naman na pumasok. So we should learn to appreciate small victories, ganyan. Mark Noel. Hello, Mark. Tanoha, kumusta? Hello, Master. Sorry, late. Hindi late. Hindi pa kami nag-umpisa doon sa main points. We just started with, the kamustahan, the discussion on the chat. And in a little while, we will be starting na with the main points. So, Johan, good evening, sir. Good evening. Hello, kumusta dyan? I hope na maganda yung panahon diyan ngayon wherever you are. Darwin Cruz, buti okay ang audio today. Last time kasi ang hirap maintindihan ng discussion ninyo. That's because we were at a open space. We were at the alley, which is located at the bridge between Ali Mall and SM Araneta. So the acoustics, dahil mas open siya na space, hindi nakakarating ng maayos yung dialogue namin ni Mark Sobrajani doon sa receptors ng phone. Okay? So yun. Nasaan na ba tayo? Nico, eye-opener para sa MUPH org, time to change their strategy, know when to pick is not working anymore, pick kung pick, other countries is stepping up their game, we should keep up as well. The problem with the know when to pick strategy is that is fine if you have like a 3-week, 4-week pageant, but if you have like a 10-day, 12-day, 14-day na pageant, you really need to sabi ni Mark Tanoha, tama, masakit siya pero di na ganun kalala. Imagine 10 years na umaasa ka, 'di ba? And even during the time ni Nina Richie Alagao, everybody was expecting her to, at least make semis, and hinahanap siya ng mga color correspondents. Why didn't she make it into the semis during that time? So, ang sakit. And then we also had a Miriam Kiambao prototype in 2001, who is a law student and then again did not place, and ang sakit talaga. And even, rumor has it that Bianca Manalo was actually 11th place overall in Miss Universe in 2009. However, dahil nga sa trump cards, natanggal siya doon sa listahan ng pumasok sa semifinalists because of the trump card na alam naman natin, the owner back then had hand in picking who makes semis. So, ayun yun. Masakit, di ba? Travel Junkie, present po. Hello, Travel Junkie. I just feel bad for Celeste pero isang pint of ice cream, naka-move on na ako. And besides, parang nawalan ako ng amor sa MU kasi walang charity or social work, puro party at photo shoot. Nole Olaer, agree sa 10 years po, witnessed it, di ba? Ang sakit, ang bigat. Because every year, the anticipation, the feeling of umaasa ka in hoping that even if it's just top 10 at that time or top 15, top 12, kahit man lang sana yung 12th place sa atin. And having that hopes up year and after year and not making it into the semis, built some level of resistance to the pain for us na medyo on the older side na mga pageant fans. Bandy says, Sir, in your opinion, as a pageant analyst, who are the Filipino girls that fits the mold of the new JKN era? I think remind me of that question later on because bibigyan natin ng espasyo yan later in our live stream. Johan, I think the lack of advocacy, meron nakapasok na hindi magagaling rumampa pero impactful yung stories nila. Lesson learned na to sa MEPH.org. Okay, so Lemuel, I will be taking note of your comment a little bit later on, but I think we should start with the main point so that hindi tayo mag-hold sa oras. It's already 17 minutes after we started, and I think we need to get the ball rolling. Okay, so the first thing that I think an area that we went wrong in is yung pageant ownership, or the pageant journey ownership that needed to be much more focused on Celeste leading the pack, and instead of Celeste being a follower to what the organization or to what her team is saying for her to do. Because if you take ownership with your pageant journey, whether you make it or you don't make it into the semifinals, whether you win or you don't win, in yourself that because you took ownership, you took stewardship of your pageant journey, you left no stone unturned. And I think that is something that also ties in with the transformational leadership, because you need to be someone who takes charge, someone who knows the direction kung saan ka pupunta. And I think that is one of the strengths that Arbony Gabriel really showed during her entire journey of Miss Universe. Kasi it was not any other person within her team who was visible at the spotlight. It was always her. And I think that is an area where kinapos tayo with Celeste. Because I remember, I think around in 2021, I wrote a piece, an article on how to take ownership and leadership of your pageant journey. Because ang explanation ko doon is that when you take ownership of your pageant campaign, you take proactive steps. You take the head role as the steward of your pageant journey, and it means that you understand your purpose. You understand that the responsibility of achieving your pageant goals is yours alone, and nobody will be as invested on your pageant journey as you are, and walang mas magbibigay ng importansya sa pageant journey mo other than yourself. And I think that is a key learning that we need to imbibe to pageant girls who are hopeful to become the next Miss Universe Philippines this year. Because if you take ownership, whether you win or you don't win, as long as you know in yourself that you gave your all, you prepared, you mastered the weak areas that you want to master, or at least work on the strong areas to make up for the weak areas. You can take pride that even if you don't make top 16, meron kang pride dun sa na-achieve mo. And when you are accountable for your own pageant campaign, um, you become a leader without even without even intending to, because you set the parameters, you set the standards, you set the goals that you want to achieve. And the reason why it's important to take ownership of your pageant journey is because um, you will find yourself much more motivated, much more inspired to achieve your goals, as compared to you just rely on other people for output, for things to do, things to add into your campaign. And I think that is an area that we really need to work on in the next, in the next queen that we will be crowning, or we will crown as a winner. Because there was this fun conversation between me and Kaloy Buendia over DM a couple of days back, or 1 or 2 days back. And there was a commenter who tagged us in our Instagram saying na um, maganda siguro kung kung si Sashes&Scripts yung national director, tapos si Kaloy Buendia yung creative director. And that was a fun that was a funny, a funny quip, a funny comment, because I felt that if kami ni Kaloy yung yung mag-head ng team, um the thing that will be the most visible mark of that kind of partnership is that we will put whoever is Miss Philippines to take the charge. Kami lang yung tagahawin ng mga roadblocks along the way. And I said that I said in the TM pa nga na na you know we will make sure that if we are going to be the heads of a pageant organization, is that the winner would always end up happy. Kasi yun naman yung goal eh. Is to have a winner who is happy, and happy to represent the country, the Philippines abroad. Because if the representative is happy, and the organization helping her is there to remove roadblocks from her path, from her way, then regardless of the outcome, um, hindi masakit, hindi masama sa loob, because ultimately, the experience has been worthwhile for the Miss Philippines na nag-compete. And I think that is something that we have been missing for the past several years, that we have made pageants a competitive sport, to the point that there are some pageant girls who are not happy anymore na nagko-compete because of the pressure, because of the burden, the emotional burden of representing a country that has so many expectations on the girl. And I think that is that is difficult for any pageant girl to handle, especially if wala siyang support system that is as strong as, let's say, Catriona Gray, or a support system as kasing tibay ng support system ng mga Miss Venezuela, who regardless of the outcome, ultimately the organization is there to protect, to support their girls. So that's the number one thing that I really need to stress on: the need for the candidate to take ownership of her pageant journey. Because how do we see, or how do we interpret taking ownership of your pageant journey? So there are 5 things that needs to be needs to be discussed on that point. Medyo mahaba-haba to, pagpasensyahan niyo na, kasi ang pinaguhugutan ko ito is yung mga articles that I have published on building yourself up into your pageant journey, into into competition mode from I think 2020 2021. So the first thing that you need to do, the first step in taking ownership of your pageant journey is to make that decision. Make the decision to take ownership with the people behind you. You need to be able to decide on who and what to take along your journey. Hindi yung umaasa ka dun sa organization, umaasa ka dun sa glam team mo to tell you these are the things that you need to do. It needs to come, the direction needs to come from yours, from you as a pageant girl, as the representative of the country, because um, everything should be centered around you and everybody is just peripherals. Kay national director yan, kay stylist yan, kay director of social media, communications, social responsibility projects, etc., etc. They are just peripherals. Ikaw yung lalaban, ikaw yung sasabak. So you need to make sure that you decide kung ano yung ano at sino yung dadalhin mo sa pageant journey mo. And you also need to share your vision with you need to share your vision, your clear vision with the people on your team, and that they should know that you are the one who is calling the shots, which is exactly what Catriona did during her stint at Miss Universe. Lahat ng mga ideas, lahat ng mga paandar na naiisip ng team dumadaan sa kanya. And she needs to say if whether this is something that I would want to take in my journey or not. And ang team na nasa likod niya should understand and lumugar sana na sundan kung ano yung gusto nung representative ng ating pambato, because it's not about you, it's about her. Ultimately, everything that you do is for her to shine, supposedly, everything that you must be doing is for her to shine, so that siya yung makitaan ng potential na manalo ng organization na yung Miss Universe organization. So as a pageant girl, you need to share your vision, your end goal with your team, and you need to to tell them that these are my goals. Help me achieve it. Let's brainstorm. I'll take your input, but ultimately, it needs to be your call. It needs to be my call, and but that doesn't mean that the pageant girl would not learn to support others' ideas. Kinakailangan din that there is an collaborative effort between the pageant girl and the organization and her team, whether it's the glam team, the stylist, and whatnot. Because ultimately, more heads are better than one. Okay, but if it's a strong no from you, learn how to communicate that politely as well. Matuto ka rin na humindi. You need to learn how to say no if it is something that you are not comfortable with. Because ultimately, hindi naman sila yung may sash. Hindi naman sila yung mapupuna ng mga tao. Ikaw. So you need to take ownership and be the leader of how are you going to move forward into your campaign. Now, another thing is that you need to develop self-awareness. And what that means is that you need to assess yourself truly, honestly, and with full objectivity, because you want to know what works for you. You want to know what are the things that you want and don't want, so that you can communicate that with your team. You need to be firm to them and tell them what are the things that you don't want, and always be honest with your team. Kasi if you're not honest with them, then they will just think that bato lang sila ng bato ng mga ideas, and then you will just keep on absorbing them, and then you will be the one ending up overwhelmed and confused. And that's a sad thing to happen. Now, the third step is, after you have communicated with your core team and decided who are you going to bring into your journey, you've assessed yourself. Then you need to set your goals. What are your pageant goals? What are the landmarks or benchmarks that you need to hit, so that you have specific goals to achieve, leading to the main goal of winning. And then be specific with these goals, but don't be inflexible. You don't want to be rigid na you're not open to suggestions, because no matter how good you prepare, there will always be roadblocks, unexpected, that will pop in. And whether you go under it, you go around it, you go over it, that's a completely under your under your responsibility to overcome. Okay, so you need to be flexible kung paano mo re-resolbahin kapag may pader na nakaharang sa'yo. And then the next is, remember also that if you miss, or kinapos ka sa isa sa mga goals mo, don't be too hard din naman on yourself, that parang na wala ka na sa sa game plan mo. And this is very common for a lot of pageant girls, that hindi lang sila napag-usapan during the preliminaries, or hindi siya na sila nasama sa hot picks ng isang popular na pageant page, nagiging na sila, parang na-discourage na yung kanilang focus. You have to remember that one goal does not define your entire pageant journey. It's okay to be accredited. It's okay to be noticed. It's okay to be, to receive these accolades, but you don't need to rely on that alone for feedback. Okay? Because sometimes, ang mga pageant pages, since nanggaling ako sa isang pageant page, alam ko may mga biases din yung mga yan. And sometimes, very arbitrary kung sino yung nilalagay nila sa top 10. Kung sino yung pinaka-popular ngayon, siyang ilalagay nilang number 1. So, just because someone is popular, that does not mean that they are the strongest candidate. And you're not a strong candidate kung wala ka sa listahan ng kanilang hot picks. So, remember, one goal does not define your entire pageant campaign. Now, here's the one thing that tingin ko medyo kinapos si Celeste dito, is that hindi siya nag-develop ng sarili niyang, or rather, she didn't have the backbone to pursue what she really wants and take leadership on kung saan niya gusto dalhin yung kanyang journey. And this is the part where you have to learn how to be politically and you have to be politically correct, and at the same time marunong kang pumr. You have to learn how to PR yourself, so that a no would sound a firm no from you sounds like it is the sweetest cake in the world. Being able to say no to your national director, to your stylist on your pageant wardrobe, your gown, for example. If you want it to be sexy, then go for it. Don't hold back. Kasi if you hold back, especially in a competition that is primarily filled with candidates who are competitive, who are very aggressive, or who are go-getters. If you are being timid and you are not not taking ownership of the decisions that you make in your wardrobe, in your hair, in your makeup, then you will get left behind. And I think that is what happened with Celeste, because looking at her, looking at her competition wardrobe, that's her evening gown and her swimsuit. She was very strong on the swimsuit, and she was, for me, I believe that that alone, her swimsuit performance alone would have made propelled her as the number one girl in the swimsuits na segment. However, when it comes to her evening gown, she pulled back. And I think this is one of those points where the sovereign, the Vona, mentioned in her, I think Instagram live session, that she found Celeste to be like she was pulling back. And remember, when I had this conversation long time ago with Tita Lavinia, and she asked me, um, what should girls wear in the evening gown to competition or something like that. And I mentioned that wear your best evening gown at the preliminaries because statistically, mas marami kang patutumbahin sa preliminary competition as compared to the top 16, top 10 na competition. Your chances to be noticed in a top 16, it's much more bigger as compared to being noticed in a field of 84, 86 candidates. And kung hindi nyo natatanong if uh, back in 20, it was 2019 na kasi katatapos lang ng Miss Universe ng December. Nagkakaroon ng exhibit sa Mall of Asia, ng mga gowns na ginamit ni Catriona for the Miss Universe pageant. Arguably, the lava gown was the most iconic na pageant gown at Miss Universe, bar none. However, during the preliminaries, Catriona and her team understood that she needs to stand out. That is why doon sa exhibit ng mga gowns ni Catriona, there were two gowns that actually outshone the lava gown during the display. And when I say outshone is that kahit sa malayo pa lang, shining, shimmering, splendid, siya yung una-una yung mapapansin. And that is the Sina gown, which she wore at Binibining Pilipinas in a field of 40 candidates. And her Adarna feathered na gown, the orange gown, na kahit ang layo-layo pa sila yung una mong titignan because of the stones, the bling. Mas makinang ang Sina gown and ang Adarna gown as compared to the lava gown. And that is something of a strategy, that is a strategic move for Catriona because alam niya na kung nilabas niya kaagad yung lava gown, yes, mapapansin siya, but in a lineup of 84 women, or I think it was 95 pa nga during her time, kinakailangan niya maglabas ng isang gown na kayang tumapat doon sa bling ng mga gowns ng ibang mga girls at that time. So it made sense that the Adarna gown was worn in the preliminaries, and then sa kanya ginamit yung lava gown doon tawag ito, sa finals. That is why I always, encourage the girls to give your best during the preliminaries because the cut there is going to be brutal. Hindi siya magiging madali, hindi siya magiging easy na deliberation to who makes, top 16, top 12, because that is very crucial for the judges na ang ipapasok lang namin is the creme de la creme. We will not put in someone who had a mediocre na performance into the top 12. If there are other girls who outperformed her in the competition. So, kinakailangan maintindihan ng whoever is our representative is at Miss Universe that at the preliminaries, that is where you bring your A game on because you are essentially going to compete for a very limited slot. Because mas malaki yung percentage na hindi ka makapasok out of 84 candidates, 85 candidates into a top 16 or top 15. And that minuscule probability of making it in a field where there are a lot of very competitive girls, then you really, you really need to step up because I don't want to make the comparison, but Celeste's performance during MUPH was far stronger than her Miss Universe performance. And nakakapagtaka how and why did it happen. So we need to reevaluate what happened between that time that she was competing at Miss Universe Philippines versus Miss Universe, kung ano yung nagbago, and why it looked like it was a watered down Celeste who competed at Miss Universe. Okay, now um, the next thing that you do after you develop, a spine, a backbone to say no, is to be solution minded. Kasi, as I said, there will be roadblocks ahead. So it's up to you to communicate to your team, to your national director, to help you out to make solutions whenever there are roadblocks like a new owner um, uh, that comes along the way. Kasi um, once Kun An mentioned that she is looking for a transformational leader, makinig na kayo. Hindi niya uulit-ulitin itong phrase na to. She will not continuously repeat the same phrase over and over again in different platforms, in different interviews, if it does not mean anything. The mere fact that from the time that she announced ownership of the Miss Universe to the time that a new Miss Universe has been crowned, nung kanyang pinakawalan yung phrase na yon, and she has kept that phrase, transformational leadership, consistent throughout her entire spiel in different interviews. So you need to be solution-minded to find what that means. Hindi kayo pwedeng umasa sa mga pageant vloggers, sa mga media people to interpret it for you. You need to take the proactive step and find the definition for that. Kasi kung magtatanong kayo sa press, magtatanong kayo sa mga pageant vloggers, then you're not doing your job, because your job is supposed to be to remove the roadblocks that will present itself to our candidate. Yun ang trabaho ninyo. You need to take ownership of your jobs. You need to be the ones who is, moving behind the scenes, making things work smoothly, at hindi yung you take the spotlight away from the queen, from the girl, because that's not part of your duties and responsibilities. Your duty is to make sure that the girl who is competing at Miss Universe have the best resources at hand. Okay, now the next point that I want to discuss dun sa 5 points ng agenda natin for tonight is that nawala yung Celeste was saying about being genuine, being authentic. However, um, that there is a disconnect between what she's saying with what is projected through media. Masyadong supermodel, high level influencer yung pinoproject na image or napoproject na image ni Celeste, which is very contrary to being approachable, being authentic, being engaging. That seemed to be what she looked like, she felt during Miss Universe Philippines. And yung spunk, yung pizzazz, yung I don't know, I don't know how to describe it, but yung general vibe, yung very energetic na vibe surrounding her was gone. And what we saw was a very reserved and very, to a certain degree, it felt like it was a cold, there was a cold wall between her and the audience that wants to engage with her. I am not sure if you felt that way, because for me that was what I felt. It was like that you're free to appreciate, to look, to visualize, but you're not free to to engage, to communicate, to be chummy with her. Kasi parang there was a wall, an invisible wall na you're just there to appreciate her, how she looks like. And I think that was the wrong image to project, especially when the Miss Universe is looking for genuine, being authentic, being relatable, and etc. So, nagkaroon ng disconnect doon sa aspeto na yon. And it felt to me that she was very guarded, that the organization put barriers around her so that hindi siya masaktan ng mga comments, hindi siya masaktan ng mga criticisms and whatnot. The problem with that is that it's okay to guard her away from that, but to the point, but if it comes to the point that she no longer feels like someone that you can relate to, someone you can um, engage with, may problema na doon. And I think the organization, parang sila yung nasusunod kung ano yung gagalawin ni mga ginagalaw ni Celeste. I don't particularly feel that they that they are allowing Celeste to have a major say of what she should be doing at Miss Universe. Parang she was more of a follower to what they say, to what they are advising on, rather than taking the initiative, being the proactive leader for her own pageant campaign. And I think that was, that's very sad if that was really what happened, and that's what the case is now. The third point that I really want to stress on is yung importance of credentials. And I know me and Mark Sobrajahani had taken so much flack with the December, I think it was December 22 or December 29 na live stream, where we really laid on that the seven girls that who made our list are the girls who, for us, had the strongest bios, or at least the most impressive bios in the Miss Universe na competition. And we were laughed at for putting in Thailand or putting in South Africa in that list, because South Africa made top 16 because um, Impact Wave chose Miss Thailand as the transformational leader for their Impact Award. So, we really need to make sure that when there are people who are evaluating based on research, based on what do you say, based on empirical evidence nga, so tulad nga ng sabi ni Mark at the kanya Chili, you really need to try to listen to others perspective, kung bakit wala siya doon sa pito. And we need to also to not be always butthurt if we only put Celeste at number 8, at number, outside of the top 5, outside of the top 10. Kasi those lists that Mark and I have created were based on parameters, were based on something na hindi lang hinugot kung saan-saan. And we've been doing this for the longest time. And Mark is a CNN alum. Siya yung nag-produce nung Road to the Crown na napanood niyo sa CNN. And I've started working with him in CNN nung in-interview niya kami after the with I think Via Hontiveros. So, alam niyo yun, hindi naman sa pagmamayabang, pero may mga pinaghuhugutan kami kung bakit sino yung mga taong nasa listahan namin ay nandun sa listahan na yon. We made sure that we reviewed all of the what do you call this, the bios of the girls. And kung sino yung mga nag-stand out sa amin, yun yung nilagay namin sa listahan. So, alam mo yun, we really need to make sure that when someone is telling you that credentials is important, we have to listen, because yun nga ang nangyari. Majority of the girls who make top 16 have really strong credentials. Let's say, for example, we have Miss Haiti. Miss Haiti is a what do you call this? Is a volunteer who helps Venezuelan immigrants who cross the seas because of what is happening in Venezuela. If you're not aware, Venezuela in the last year had a very crazy inflation that affected accessibility to flour, to bread, to of course bread kasi flour nga yung ano yung isa sa mga pinaka-affected. So they had problems with access to access and buy basic household items. Nagkaubusan ng toilet paper, nagkaubusan ng harina, nagkaubusan ng pagkain sa mga supermarkets. Basic necessities and even toiletries were not available in supermarkets because of the high inflation that that essentially made the Venezuelan currency worth nothing. A lot of Venezuelan citizens crossed over the borders to Colombia, to Guyana, to other neighboring countries because of the scarcity that they're experiencing there. The mere fact that Haiti has something as heavy as that to discuss with the judges, sinong judge ang hindi mai-impress doon? What kind of judge will not be impressed about someone who is volunteering for the sake of immigrants, where immigration is something that is a very global issue, whether it's the immigrants from Ukraine um, going out of the country because of the war that's happening, whether it's the immigration from countries in the Middle East like Libya or somewhere like Latinos moving across the border to Mexico and the United States, and of course Venezuelans who are looking for better opportunities outside of their country. Sinong hindi what kind of judge will not be impressed by volunteers like that? So aminin natin, those kinds of credentials would really, make a girl, even if they don't perform as strongly as anybody else during the preliminaries, if 60% of their scores is taken from the judging on the closed door interviews and 2020 for evening gown and swimsuit, if they got that chunk, even if they were only average at the performance at swimsuit and gown, that 60% will tide them over to the top 16. So, and that is what happened with girls like Canada, like Haiti, who we were all surprised that they were there. Now, another thing that we need to incorporate in the credentials aspect is having life lessons, life stories that you can spin as, I made this mistake as a youth, and therefore I learned and I learned from it, and therefore I am where I am now because of it. When I was in college, there was a semester na na sa katamaran ko, hindi ako pumasok sa lahat ng mga klase ko. And I was only, I was only physically there for my class in ROTC kasi hindi mo mapapeke yun. And I only went in my classes just to take the exam, essentially. That was my bulakbol era. Sorry, my bulakbol era when I was in college. And of course, the consequence is that after the semester, lagpak-lagpak ako dun sa mga subjects ko, except for I think the two subjects, which is my ROTC, my PE, and one more, my natural sciences, because magaling akong manghula pagdating sa multiple choice na exams. And the rest, I was either a 4 or a 5, which is a failing grade essentially in UP. And that, would have, that actually was I was under a, what do you call this, academic probation at that time, and I didn't know that I was on academic probation, and nangyari yon. And God, I had to beg the dean of the university not to kick me out from the clothing tech program. And guess what? I got my second chance, and I made sure that from then on, anything in my majors would not go lower than a 1.75. To the point that when I graduated, my average score, my average standing, if I only factor in my major, my majors na mga ano, na mga subjects, it's a one close to 1.25, which is pretty much a on the cum laude ish na level. However, because I had a semester na nagbulak-bulakod and I had, really huge red marks on my transcripts, I'm not, how do you call this? I'm not eligible for any of those Latin honors. But then I learned from that, and from then on, whether I move from designing, from fashion design to visual merchandising to marketing to social media, or now and now to vlogging and to teaching, I made sure that in every step of the way, I learned something and I am able to make good on that experience. And I think doon nagkaroon ng missed opportunity si Celeste, because after her stint at Miss Earth, there were a lot of negative, news that went on about her behavior socially, and she could have used that, that story, that I've learned from the follies of my youth, and I've learned that everybody is, should be afforded second chances, or something to that line, so that she becomes more relatable. She becomes easy to, to relate with, because sino ba sa atin yung hindi nagkamali sa buhay? If I doubt that, you know um, uh, any one of us has a very clean record, who never made a mistake in their lives, or never had a misstep throughout her life or his life. And I think that would have been a more relatable, story that she could have brought into the Miss Universe pageant. Now, um, another thing that a lot of people are actually, uh, mentioning is yung community and social projects. And this is where I am a bit, a bit frustrated, because I don't know what happened doon sa Miss Earth na advocacy niya when she was Miss Philippines Earth, because she could have used that and, transposed that to her Miss Universe journey. She could have used that to, and continue what she has started there into her Miss Universe journey. Because look at Miss Portugal, Telma Madeira. After her Miss Earth stint, she was also top 8 with Celeste. And the difference between her placement at top 16 and Celeste is that Telma was able to continue her advocacy, to continue her social, responsibility projects, and then add on to it. Tinapos niya yung pag-aaral niya as an orthodontist, and she is able to add that to her accomplishments, to her, credentials, going into Miss Universe. And look at her, she made top 16. So it's important that if meron ka nang naumpisahan na advocacy and social or community na project, dalhin mo yun throughout until matapos ang journey mo sa pageant. Because pag nilaglag mo siya at hindi mo dinala sa future mong mga pageant participation, it would only provide you with very bad optics. Iisipin ng mga tao na ginawa niya lang yun because of the pageant. And I think that's a valid criticism from, observers. But at the same time, it should be something that you should be able to curb bago pa man mangyari yon. Because had she been able to carry over her advocacy at Miss Earth to Miss Universe, then I would think that she would have made top 16. Now, um, there is also yung um, point where I really want to stress out on the wrong way of transforming Celeste. Because instead of working on what is there and then enhancing it, what happened, I believe, is that they molded her, her team or her Miss Universe Philippines organization, molded her into something totally different. And that is where yung sinasabi natin na genuineness and authenticity, saan yun doon? Because we barely can recognize Celeste after what you've done with her. And that's yung stark difference within that 7 months from the time that she was competing versus the time that she is at Miss Universe. Ang laki ng diferensya na parang ang relatable ni Celeste. There's happiness there. There's I don't know, there's good energy na nakikita mo sa kanya. And then pagdating doon sa doon sa Miss Universe, parang ibang klaseng transformation. And that is, I don't know, she did not appear to be as engaging as she was when she was Miss Universe competing at Miss Universe Philippines. So what I'm trying to stress here is that work on what is there and build on it rather than palitan mo yung personalidad ng tao just to fit a mold that you want for the Miss Universe na pageant. Because there's so much that you can do with just telling, about who you are, what you are. But the point here is that show, not tell. And that is, one of the things that film critics would always tell filmmakers with regards to their movies, that if you have a long expository dialogue to explain what's happening, then that is not a good mark of a filmmaker, because a good filmmaker would show what is happening rather than tell what is happening. Okay, that's why it's a motion picture. They want to see things. And I think that also applies with Celeste with regards to her transformation. Na sinasabi about authenticity, about being genuine, ganyan. But then again, we don't see that being explicit na nakikita on her in Miss Universe. Now, another thing that I want to take note on yung transformation aspect is, bakit tinanggal or bakit nawala yung advocacy niya on Miss Earth? Because she could have just brought that into the Miss Universe competition. Because imagine niyo kung yung if you're gonna look now at the top two winners of Miss Universe this year, Arboni Gabriel and Amanda Dudamel, each of them were talking about sustainable practices. Pero magkaiba yung approach nila on it. Arboni is using end-of-term fabrics, using DIY, repurposed fabrics, repurposed garments to make new garments out of it. That's a different aspect of fashion sustainability. On the other hand, you have Amanda Dudamel, who is using applications, technology on the prototyping side of fashion production, so that she essentially eliminates the prototyping aspect of creating fashion. Which, if you are going to do a prototype of a garment, you also need fabric, and most likely the fabric that you're going to use for your prototype are kind of fabrics that hindi mo isusuot, and that prototype essentially will go to waste. So with her knowledge on technology and having access to the technology where she can prototype through 3D digital means, and then um, translate those 3D na rendering of the clothes into 2D na patterns, print those patterns and use those patterns to cut your first garment. That essentially saves you on fabric waste, on on human labor, kasi hindi mo na kinakailangan ng gagawa ng pattern sa iyo, kundi it's all there available on a on an app. And that is another way of tackling yung sustainability thrust ng Miss Universe na pageant. Imagine nyo if nagawa niya na dalhin yon, yung experience niya sa Miss Earth 2018 to Miss Universe 2022. Then she could have been together with Telma Madera in the top 16 because she had something to discuss, something to talk about in the personality interviews, in the closed door interviews. Because alam naman natin na 2021 pa lang, nag-umpisa na ang Miss Universe na bigyan pansin yung sustainability, eco-friendliness, and environmental friendly practices. That is why last year they had a roundtable discussions with different girls, and they were videoed, and they put up a video on fast fashion sa kanilang website. That is why also yung kanilang venue sa Israel was made out of sustainable materials. That is also why yung kanilang sash ngayon is made out of sustainable materials as well. So, alam niyo yun, they are essentially spelling out to us what are the advocacies that matter to them, what are the social responsibility projects, community involvement that is important to them, and hindi tayo nakikinig. Ano pa ba ang gusto nating mangyari? Spellingin nila sa atin na ito ang kailangan niyang gawin. So nawala naman na yung dimension of kusa, of initiative, right? To take initiative on these things that are important to them. So those are missed opportunities that we really need to address on. And finally, the fifth point that I want to discuss on is we had a very weak campaign. There's no denying about that, because the social projects are very sparse, and even Celeste was not very active in promoting what she did in Marawi, what she did for Save the Children Philippines on her own Instagram account. Hindi ko sinasabi na na maging super active siya sa social media, but at least repost, so that when people or the judges would look at, okay, what are your credentials, then they would see, what have you been doing. You have been given a platform like Instagram, like Facebook, to use as a amplifier of your voice, of what is important to you. Then why are you not, making use of them? Why are you not allowing yourself to be immersed in your pageant journey and take everybody that you care for into your journey? Because this is another missed opportunity, not only from the org na sparse din ang kanilang mga posting updates on social media with regards to what have they been accomplished, what they have accomplished in terms of the charity, and the what do you call this, the social involvement, community involvement na front for Celeste. Kokonti napaka-sparse. Hindi pa ganun kadami, hindi nabigyan ng focus 'yon. Unlike if you look at the feed of, let's say, Maria Fernanda Aristizabal, where she talks about SOS Aguas, and about you have a lot of posts there that explains why water scarcity is very important in the development of a country, to make sure that food security is in place to make sure that that the economic development of the country is not stalled because who's I mean who can work with an empty stomach, right? So those are things that she is able to, put in her Instagram account and make people notice and take opportunities like social media to make known what she stands for. And then we also have Amanda Dudamel, again, who is very active on ganito yung proseso ng ginawa para sa kanyang arrival outfit. It was digitally prototyped. And the print there for her arrival outfit were borrowed from a Venezuelan indigenous tribe. And royalties are paid to them for using yung mga prints na yon. That is community engagement that allows a unknown tribe to have a moment to be noticed and recognized, and at the same time they get paid royalties for the prints that was borrowed from them. So alam niyo yun, ang daming pwedeng mangyari ang mangyari at pwedeng gawin in terms of the social advocacy na front, and those are missed opportunities talaga. And um, um, let's also okay. Let me just pull up an example um, of a strong campaign. Um, Dali lang. Give me a second. These three girls, I think these are the okay. This is a blog post that I posted, I think, in 2021. Um, Let me just put it on the chat box para lang. And this is a very, for me, a very key piece of information that every pageant girl should study with regards to the campaign of Catriona, Eliza, and Samantha Bernardo. Because among the pageant girls that we have had the pleasure to observe, these three girls, yung namumugtanging examples of what a very strong pageant campaign is. Regardless of the outcome, whether you're first runner up, you're winner, or you only ended up at top 16, their campaigns is flawless. Okay, now let's take in muna yung kay Catriona. Ano yung key takeaways natin doon sa campaign ni Catriona? Why it was a strong campaign? One, she utilized video content um, in her campaign, and this is very important because nowadays the algorithm of Facebook and Instagram is it has certain biases for videos. That is why reels and videos get more engagement, get more reach because the algorithm of Instagram and Facebook make it so. And Catriona was way ahead of everybody else in terms of video content because she allowed herself to understand yung kultura na nire-represent niya, and used video content to to cover a certain weakness in her pageant journey. And you know what I mean. Catriona, when she came in here, everybody is thinking that another halfie yan, just another halfie. And she probably does not know much about our culture. And that criticism actually made Catriona think of a way, of a game plan na magawa niya ng paraan na makover niya yung weak area na yon. And that is why she immersed herself sa kultura ng Pinoy, ng Pilipinas. She traveled from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, shot video footages there, understand the weaving cultures of the Tiboli. She understood the the dances that was involved in her national costume presentation at Binibining Pilipinas. She understood the culture. She learned the language. Kahit na noon kapag we were having these secret meetings with her, even if balubaluktot pa yung the way that she speaks Tagalog, she makes an effort. And that is that is a good mark of a leader of what a leader is, tinitignan niya, ina-assess niya kung ano yung areas na weak siya, and hindi niya dinidibdib yon. She doesn't take she is not emotional whenever she assesses the areas that she needs to work on, and uses, different platforms to, what do you call this, to cover that weak point. Now, another thing that, kahit na anong sabihin natin na, Paula Sugar said, advocacy is not important, but look at the top two winners of Miss Universe this year. They have advocacies, they have something to stand for. That's why it's important to have, an advocacy, or at least a social responsibility project that you can be proud of, something that you have done outside of pageantry before you compete, because it makes that even more potent. It makes that even more important and essential and powerful, because it was built before you competed for a crown. It makes it more authentic in feel, because it was something that you took initiative on, and that is very powerful, because it allows the organization to think that this girl is standing for something other than herself. Now, another thing that Catriona did very well throughout her campaign is that every move that she makes is purposeful, from her lava gown, from her choice of ear cuff, from her choice of daily wardrobe in her Miss Universe journey. Everything was a communicative piece. Everything was a communication of who she is and what she represents. Because again, it all stems out from the criticism that being a Hafi, you're never Filipino enough, and that is a bullshit criticism, because you cannot really say that you are a Filipino if you don't make an effort to understand the culture, the country, the traditions that you're supposedly representing. If you don't take an initiative to immerse yourself to the language or to the culture, then that is a weak area that you need to work on ASAP. Okay, and that is why every move that Catriona made during Binibining Pilipinas, or during the Miss Universe pageant, every move, every piece of wardrobe has a purpose. Okay, now when it comes to Eliza, Eliza stands out, bar none, to any other national pageant girl who competed at the national level, because of her grassroots journey to Miss Universe Philippines. She was very authentic. She was not ashamed to use, the language that she is comfortable with in the national stage. She was never ashamed of who she is in her humble beginnings. Hindi niya ikinahihiya na lumaki siya sa farm, na lumaki siya sa hirap. That her background is not as fabulous as everybody else's. Hindi niya ikinahiya yon. She proudly branded herself as Inday Eliza. And that, that kind of authenticity, you'd rarely get that in any pageant girl nowadays. Yung ganung klaseng, this is me, and I'm unapologetic for my roots, for where I came from. That is, a standout thing to do in a pageant where everybody else is trying to portray themselves with their best foot forward. With Eliza, she was unashamed, she was unapologetic to call herself a provinciana. And one thing more is that her tone of voice on her social media, she was very communicative. She was very engaging. Nakikipagbiruan siya on her social media. She allowed people to come in and understand her perspective. And that is and she used, social media in a way that she gathered more fans to support her. And in that year, in 2022, bihira yung ano, yung masasabi mong pageant girl na halos walang anti-fans, halos walang nagtotroll sa feed niya. And that is a very rare, very rare thing to happen because Liza was authentic. Yun yung, that is the best example of what authenticity looks like and feels like, because she did not only tell, she also showed. And she showed in various platforms, whether it's her jeepney na bag, whether it's her speaking, Bisaya in national, at the nationals level, whether it's her social media that portrays what is it like doon sa life sa farm. That was a very well thought campaign. And I think any pageant girl would have to study her and what she'd done in her social media as an example of what a social media campaign should look like. And then, of course, we have Samantha Bernardo, who, despite having, very in your face na glamour for her Miss Grand International campaign, she tailor fit yung fashion na yon doon sa needs based on her and the pageant's needs. Hindi siya yung tipong copycat lang ng kung ano mga ginawa ni Catriona, ginawa ni Pia, or ginawa ng ibang mga other national title holders. Hindi niya kinopia per se. She took lessons from what are the campaigns that were very successful and tailor fit it to her needs. And that is something that every pageant girl should learn from. And I think valid din yung criticism ng mga Filipino on Anna's Wengam Ayam, because you need to, if you're going to copy from someone, you need to make sure that what you copy are the things that could fit into what you need, and personalize it for yourself, and make sure that the outcome is more you than the inspiration that it came from. Another thing is that Samantha never let up on the showmanship and the performance. Hindi siya, never siyang nag-pull back. If kinakailangan magbigay siya ng 100%, she's gonna give you 110% just to make sure that all bases is covered. And she was not wasteful of any opportunity that came in her way. Kapag yung may opportunity na mag-shine siya on camera, she uses that opportunity and make sure that eyes on the camera, hindi yung kung saan-saan nakatingin. Kapag nag-on na yung red light sa camera, nakatingin siya doon, alam niya kung saan siya iikot, saan siya magpo-post, saan siya titigil, saan siya maglalakad. And that is not wasting any opportunity on camera for a performance, so that you are able to build a very wow na showmanship for your performance. And I think these three girls, they are the standard of what a pageant campaign should look like, because lahat ng mga examples na to, they are very easy to copy, and they are Filipinas. Madali silang i-reach out and kausapin na, Ate Sam, baka naman pwede mo akong bigyan ng tips on how you did this, that, or reach out to your campmates who has access to maybe Eliza, or when you are a binibini candidate, when Catriona is there, giving you tips. Be involved. Don't waste those opportunities to learn from these girls, kasi you're not guaranteed another face-to-face with them. So make the most out of every opportunity that is presented to you. And I think that is one of the things na should have been ours to master, because all of these examples, they are all Filipina girls. So there is no reason for us na tayo pa yung nag-fail on these aspects, because we have three girls here who have very solid campaigns, and whether they won, they didn't make top 5, or they didn't win the crown, wala kang maipintas doon sa kanilang mga pageant campaigns. So there was no opportunity lost. In fact, everything that they've done was a step up for growth. Okay, so those are the 5 things that I really wanted to point out where we went wrong. Marami tayong naging missteps on those 5 fronts, and I hope na these are going to be something that we will learn to fix as we go along towards the pageant in El Salvador this December. Okay, now let's start reading muna siguro some comments before we close itong ating live stream. Medyo napadami ako ng napadami ako ng sinabi because I really thought this through, listed what are the things that could be a learning experience for us and provide examples talaga so that hindi tayo magkaroon ng misunderstanding on saan nagkamali. So paano natin aayusin? Ayokong magkaroon ng misunderstanding on hanggang puna ka lang naman, Jason, wala ka namang maibigay na concrete na 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 tips on how to solve this. So this is why this live stream for me is a little bit scary because I really wanted to nail it on the head that I don't only point out what is wrong, but I also point out what are the things that we can do to correct, um, to iron out the mistakes that we've made in our campaign for Miss Universe 2022. Okay, so let's read on muna sa mga comments kasi ang dami na pala, pasensya na. Habang nag-scroll ako, may I ask everyone, since medyo marami-rami tayo, 151 tayo ngayon dito, to please send a thumbs like button on our live stream para later on mas marami yung makakita ng replay. Okay? Where we? I think we ended up with Pandy. Tama ba, Pandy? Ikaw yung last? I think no, hindi si Bandy. I think baka si Travel Junkie. Wait lang ha, let me just di tama. It's Bandy. We ended up with Bandy. Sabi ang tanong niya is who are the Filipino girls that fits the mold of the JKN era? Unfortunately, Eliza would be top of my list. However, I don't think that may intention pa siyang bumalik even if nagkaroon na ng opening for unwed moms, pregnant girls, married women to compete. So if it was up to me, I want her to represent us in Miss Universe. Siya talaga yung forever thought ko for Miss Universe. Until now hindi pa rin ako maka-move on from her kasi I think at the nationals at among the girls who competed at Miss Universe Philippines, siya yung namumukod tanging nag-stand out sa akin up until now. And not even the winners, the 3 winners pwedeng pumantay doon sa nagawa ni Eliza. Unfortunately. But again, that's my opinion on that. Other girls na lumilitaw ngayon is of course very mainit na topic si Lou Dominic Picson. There's also Julia Sobier and of course Bella Ismael, hindi nawala sa listahan ko. Those are some of the girls siguro na pwede kong maisip sa ngayon. Saan na ba tayo? Okay, Lemuel 23.5. Since Albany has opened the topic of raising age limits, the Miss Universe organization will follow sooner in response. So would you want to see new girls give a new lease in pageantry? Ayun na nga. Ako, Eliza. Noel Reyes. Hello, good evening, Noel. I'm all ears tonight with so many vloggers, fans saying their piece. I need to hear from someone who's calm and objective. Thank you for this live. Thank you also, Noel. I think I've ranted for more than 30 minutes on that 5 points. Kaya pagpasensyahan niyo na if I wasn't really paying attention to your comments because I have like pages and pages of notes here na I really went through, and iba pa yung notes na naka-open sa screen ko. Ayan. YouTube user 1329. Sir Jason, I think NUPH is an organization. As an organization should have better risk management skills, enroll ulit sila ng management courses. Okay. Johan, Sir Jason, totoo mo ba na if top 20 kinuha nila, pasok si PH kasi 18th place daw si Celeste? I haven't heard that rumor yet. So, hindi ko ma-ascertain for sure. I don't know. Hindi, I'm not sure if that would be, kasi ang hirap mag-ano ngayon mag-assess ngayon dahil kung resume pala at credentials, authenticity, interview skills ang pag-uusapan, alam mo, doon sa mga hindi nakapasok sa top 16 na mga countries like Italy, alam mo, like Thailand, Philippines, ganyan, parang ang dami pang pwedeng punuin ng space na top 20. So I cannot be sure now if pasok ba din ba si Celeste kapag top 20. However, I felt that baka pumasok siya because of her strong showing at swimwear at swimsuits. So I really can't say honestly. I haven't heard anything from some of my friends na pageant insiders on that yet. So I really can't say. Nico Veneracion. Agree with your salient points, sir. Girls should have creative freedom on their pageant journey. Hmm. Sadly, that's not the case for Celeste. They should have followed Catriona's blueprint. Yun ang mahirap eh. Alam naman natin yung history ni Catriona and nung nasa pamunuan, di ba? I doubt that they will take anything from Catriona's blueprint if it meant that they need to acknowledge na sa kanya na kay Kat galing yun. Alexis Dalita. Medyo inom lang ako sandali. Intindihin ko lang itong mga questions kasi medyo ang mata ko lumalabo na. Sabi ni Alexis, sa tingin niyo po ba naka-affect yung mga tattoos ni Celeste sa pagka-unplace niya dahil baka may mga judges na sensitive when it comes to tattoos? And also yung mga hubadera post niya sa IG. Bakit? Si Bea din naman last year may mga tattoo. Ang laki-laki pa nga ng tattoo ni Bea. I don't think it was a issue. I don't think it was, it was a factor. But then again, that's just me. Tingin ko lang. Malay ko ba doon sa ibang mga judges, 'di ba? Okay, where were we? Bandy, in this new JKN era, what should be the main focal point of the next Philippine Reps campaign in the 2023 edition of Miss You? Lahat ng mga points na binanggit ko, yung 5, on pageant owners, on pageant journey ownership, on being genuine and authenticity, show, not tell. Heavy credentials, heavy focus on the credentials. Learn the right way of transformation, and hindi yung babaguhin mo ng totally, but build on what is there, and then yung learn from the experiences ng mga naunang mga girls natin who had very strong pageant campaigns. Si Mami Cat, hello po sir, and everyone. Pretty tired here from work but still very happy to tune in your live discussion. Thank you. Thank you, Mami Cat. I hope na nag-enjoy ka. May natutuhan ka kahit papaano dito sa live stream natin today. Mr. Mental, Cece's identity was manufactured for the pageant. Her evening gowns and pasarela did not look like something that the woman who wore that red arrival outfit would wear, and her advocacies were not consistent. Darwin Cruzes naman, pwede bang tigilan ng MUP na ibahin ang katawan o palakihin ang ng nanalo? Look what happened to Rabia. Una Neri, we need a candidate who already knows herself and is strong enough to fight for what she believes in. Hirap kasi if susunod lang sa gusto ng organization. Lemwal 23.5, Celeste didn't take charge of her own journey in terms of her personal advocacy and didn't push applying in her journey. Instead, she just adopted the org's own charity affiliations. I think it's okay if you adopt the organizations that the national pageant is advocating for. Ang importante kasi dapat is that you have your own, that regardless of dagdagan or may introduce na bago, meron ka ng solid foundation on a certain a certain social issue or a certain community project that you're really passionate about. I think that's the missing component. Um, RDJ, I agree. The ideal scenario is having a queen who has a vision and the will to execute. But the org has to empower her too. If the org is not flexible to begin with, it would be difficult for the queen. Agree. Um, Rani Luidio, if Victoria Velasquez Vincent will compete again in this year's Miss Universe Philippines, she is exactly the perfect candidate, excellent in communication and very good in pasarela. I agree. I think I suppose I have a sandali lang ha, hahanapin ko eh. Alam ko meron akong naka-save na dapat i-post on. Oh, it's not here. It's probably on the other phone. Wait lang. Gusto ko kasi talaga may resibo eh. I have something that is supposed to be posted today or tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Ayan, ang daming nagme-message. Sandali lang. Sandali lang. I have a, what do you call this? I did some there. I have something that I'm supposed to post on Victoria Velasquez Vincent. I'm sorry if hindi masyado malinaw sa screen, but yeah, I also have something that's supposed to be on Eliza. I'm sorry kung hindi ko pa siya napopost. Hindi ko pa kasi na-finish yung yung gusto kong sabihin about these two girls, because I think when I was asked kung sino yung mga girls na perfect sana isabak this year, or this 2023 not 2022, for this year for Miss Universe, the first two girls that went into my head were actually Eliza and VVV. And then I did something today. I did some errands today, tapos nakalimutan ko. And then when I was listing yung mga girls na pwedeng pumasok sa sa molde ng JKN, nakalimutan ko si VVV. So I'm sorry about that, Victoria, but kasama ka talaga doon sa listahan because I already made the the graphic for it. Ngayon at na-splok ko na, parang ipopost ko pa ba sa Instagram to? Baka hindi na. Okay, Mayax 20, hindi 23, Mayax 93, sabi niya she didn't have a strong advocacy daw kay Celeste. So, it's not that wala, it's just that it was not public. Parang hindi mo siya hinam up. Kumbaga parang meron pero hindi ganoon ka-strong. Hindi na nga siya ganun ka-strong, hindi mo pa yung binonggahan yung presentation mo sa kanya. So yun. Ping says, honestly, Alicia Fobel of Spain, who entered the top 16, stayed in the Philippines, was more relatable to Pinoys dahil nakakapag-Tagalog. Nakitang kumakain ng street food kumpara kay Celeste na high-end. That's the problem when you are packaged high-end. Because, for sure, at least 50% of the Filipino populace cannot relate to high fashion, to high end, kasi mababaw ang experience ng mga Pinoy on what makes them happy. Street food, isaw, barbecue, Betamax, yung mga yon na mga street foods. The mere fact that Alicia Faubel speaks fluent Tagalog, I mean, sino namang Pinoy ang hindi mai-in-love doon? Much like, let's say, Dayanara Torres, who, when she was here, within a year, nakakapag-Tagalog na siya na ng diretso. So, alam mo yun, she really endeared herself to Filipino fans. And the easiest way for a foreigner or someone who has foreign blood, kaya half Pinoy siya or full-blooded na foreigner, the easiest way na mahuli mo yung loob ng mga Pilipino is kapag nagtagalog ka. Yun. There is something about our language that anyone who takes initiative to learn our language is immediately given um, like a pass uh, to the Filipino heart. Kasi if you are going to learn yung language natin dito sa Pilipinas, it is actually one of the most difficult languages to learn because yung suffix, infix, prefix, ganyan, um, in the English language, we only have prefix and suffix and yung somewhere in the middle. In the Philippines, sabi nila, may umpisa, may dulo, may gitna, meron yung umpisa at gitna, mayroong gitna at dulo, may yung dulo at saka umpisa. May maraming permutations ng mga suffixes dito sa Pilipinas. And that is what makes the Filipino language very difficult to learn from a perspective of a foreigner who learns it with with the structured na lessons. That is why mas madali na matuto ang mga foreigners ng lengguwahe natin when they directly just communicate with us because we correct them immediately. They learn the words and the usage very easily when they are practicing it, rather than they learn it from a technical level. Ayun, medyo napalayo tayo ng diskusyon. Nico says, who you yung mga bashers nun, sir? Ha ha ha. That's your opinion with Sir Suberjani. If they can't deal with it, then they should leave. Period. Yun na nga. The problem with some of with some of us Filipinos is that we take immediate offense even if there is no offense meant. We are easy to react to imaginary slights, na kahit uh, neutral yung sinabi, kino-colorize ng utak natin na may ibig sabihin yung sinabi niya. Alam mo yun, kasi ang Pilipino kasi mahilig magparinig eh. And dahil sa ugali natin na mahilig tayong magparinig, ngayon ang utak natin na-train na kapag may sinasabi ang ibang tao, ang automatic response natin is baka nagpaparinig to. Kasi ugali nga natin na magparinig masyado. So, that's it. Mayax93, that's TNT, not... Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you, Mayax. Yes, the one who is helping pala the Venezuelan immigrants is Trinidad and Tobago. I think Haiti is the one who was orphaned with her mom and instead volunteers doon sa mga orphans in her country. I'm sorry about that. I think I switched Trinidad and Tobago and Haiti's bios. Mark Gonzalez, good evening, sir. Thoughts and rumors about MUO El Salvador. Latino community favor dusky women. Should we lean towards this type of women to be sent to Miss Universe? That's up to the Miss Universe organization or the Miss Universe Philippines organization to figure out. Amorphia, hello Sir Jason, tumpak ang analysis mo. I was rooting for Celeste pero I was also open to the idea na pwede talaga siyang maligwak. Richard M. Pig, dahil talaga siguro yun sa boses ni Celeste, natural kasi na nanginginig boses niya magsalita. KG says, beauty contests have evolved. It's not all about beauty of face and sexy body anymore. Candidates should be well-rounded and a good role model in society. There's a silver lining behind those bashings. Be like Pia, Catriona, and Nola. Arbony. Okay. Confidently beautiful with a heart because if not now, then when? Yung pinagsama-sama na. Okay. RDJ. The move from IMG to JKN also hurt. Ay, nawala. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, where? Nawala. Our DJ, sorry, wait lang. Let me just screen. Okay, there. The move from IMG to JK and also hurt Celeste. I think they chose Celeste based on the IMG criteria and had to pivot midway when JKN took over. The result is a mispackaged Celeste. RDJ, I think the way they package is not IMG criteria kasi IMG criteria very very involved sa community projects yung mga winners nila. I think they package her Trump era, hindi hindi IMG. Masyadong napaglumaan yung nabanggit mong mispackaging na mispackaging nila kay Celeste. Okay, Lemuel 23.5. May rumors na kumakalat na the reason why they removed Celeste's own advocacy because it was too scattered and resolved that judges might be confused. If it was too scattered and unresolved, then why don't you, narrow it down, arrange it, and resolve the areas that is left unresolved? 'Di ba? Kaysa naman mag-scratch ka from zero and then you end up with not as strong of a social, responsibility na project. Ayan, nandito na si Mark Sobrajani. Hello Mark. Okay, wait, nasaan na? The one that got away. Yeah, si Eliza. Totgang po nga siya. May sabi ni Mark Tano was my heart for Eliza. Again, si Mark Sobrajani, Eliza is and will always be an all-star. Yes. I think up until now, kapag nagdidiskusyon tayo ng evening gown sa Miss Universe Philippines na competition, right on the top is Eliza's white hair. Simple and adorned, but ang elegante niyang tignan, ang linis niyang tignan. Ping, Sir Jason, dapat ikaw ang consultant ng MUPH. Nako, ayoko. Kung sila din ang nasa pamunuan, I don't think our personalities will gel well because between the head of the organization versus the girl, I think I would always probably be at the side of the national title holder. So it will not be a good fit. Square peg, round hole. Mayax 93. Good leadership is a must. Look at Arbony, Miss USA. Very involved with her advocacy and empowering women and children. Yes, and yung background niya on fashion where she teaches, domestic abuse survivors on how to sew and how to make a livelihood. I mean, that was for me something that you can brag about in your candidacy as Miss Universe. And kita nyo naman the results favored her. Chris Saligan, do you think what MUP org to some of the designers this year? Wait lang, medyo nalito ako. Do you think what MUP org did to some of the designers this year would make the preparations of our upcoming MUP queens harder in the future? I can't understand why they did not stick to one or two designers. Okay, since nandyan tayo that is actually a conversation that I was trying to avoid. But since it's already there, what I don't like is that there are some camps and organizations. I'm not just gonna say who na lang, who tend to reach out to designers, several designers, multiple designers. Can you create gowns for like this, and she will wear it in the Miss something stage as international competition. And then yun pala, they were shopping for different designers or even 5 different designers. And each of those 5 designers gumawa. And then, ang heartbreak ng mga designers is that their gowns were not chosen by the organization. And walang nihay-niho na explanation na, oh, we just went another direction. That's what I don't like. Kasi our designers, our Filipino designers, are world class designers. And if the org plays, this stupid power game that whoever is more chummy to them, that's the designer that they will give uh, whoever the opportunity to to be worn on stage. That is very unethical or maybe unprofessional from my standpoint, from my perspective, because you're allowing these designers to compete for, I don't know, for your attention, and you get off from the power play involved around it. Parang it does not bode well to me. Yun lang. Bahala na kayong mag-interpret what org, what camp, whatever that is. Okay. Nasaan na ba tayo? I might be skipping na some points because halos magdadalawang oras na tayo nagsasalita dito. Okay. Sabi ni Omorphia, matinding troubleshooting to para sa MEPH or para makabawi this year. Ang sabi naman ni Lemuel, 23.5, do you think Arbony and the runners-up along with Miss Anne will be visiting the Philippines? Lemuel, let's cross the beach when we get there. RJ de Guzman, Eliza, my sentimental favorite. She was so regal in her white gown. We have to credit Joe Rubio for that very impeccable, simple, but impeccable na gown. Kasi when you are a designer, simple is the most difficult thing to achieve kasi lahat ng areas na pwede kang magkamali, whether it's puckering, whether it's miss stitch or miss yung mali yung kain ng tela doon sa footer ng makina, napupuna. So, ang hirap gumawa ng napakasimpleng gown because it needs to be technically lahat ng tahi, lahat ng fit, lahat ng lapat ng tela sa katawan, lahat ng seams needs to be really 100% done well. For Purple Ma'am, I agree with your 5 points. I hope the MUPND and CD have the same mindset as you when they stop take of what happened and strategize their campaign drive for Miss Universe 2023. Snowjohn0279, newbie question. Need na ba ulit na maging transparent ng MU and show the scores ng girls like before? Sabi ni Olivia Jordan, nagbago how judges scored the prelim interview. Yes. I mean, any move towards transparency would be a good move, I think. And this goes with not just the Miss Universe organization, but it also goes along with the Miss World, Miss International, Miss Earth, and other international competitions outside the Alpha Four, outside the Big Four. And last na comment, sabi ni Lemuel 23.5, ang problem kasi sa Miss Universe Philippines organization, I think a vlogger mentioned this, that they use the Padrino system, that the org chummy with certain designers. Okay, since nabanggit na rin yan, yun yung yun yung mahirap kapag may chummy kang designers, you forget to be objective. You forget that that decision should not be your decision. It should have always been and should always will be the candidate, the girl, to make that decision, not you. Hindi dapat ang organization yung nagtitake lead, but the candidate who should be at the forefront of her own pageant campaign. It's not that papabayaan mo siya mag-isa, but guide her and be there to help remove roadblocks, to remove hindrances along her way, because a good national director is there at the sidelines, is there to support. So yun, I think all the points that we have discussed here are very healthy, are very succinct, and very And I'm very happy na walang bastos ngayon sa live stream natin. Walang mga comments na na mapagmarunong, na mamarunong, or hindi marunong maglahad ng intelihente at respetableng comment. So I'm really very thankful because as I've said in yung post ko on Instagram, it's not up to just one blogger or one YouTuber or one pageant page to lift up and level up the discourse on pageantry. Yung pag-angat natin sa diskurso sa level ng diskurso sa pageantry, it's not up until okay, it's not up to just one person. Hindi nakasalalay um, yung uh, responsibilidad na yon sa iisang tao lang. It is a shared responsibility within the pageant community. And I am very grateful and very happy that the Sashes&Scripts na pageant community is an intelligent, respectful, and very insightful na community where um, everyone is able to say their piece without being disrespectful, without being rude, or without being sarcastic, or being passive aggressive. And I am very grateful for that. Kasi it only goes to show that if you expect, the best from people, people will live up to it. Will be able to, if you set the bar at this high, kaya naman natin na lumebel dun sa ano na yun sa batayan na yun eh. And I think it's high time that for our pageant community, we really need to to lift up yung standards of the way we communicate and engage with each other on social media. And that is why I'm very happy with my decision to make our Instagram private, kasi mas napapansin ko na yung mga bastos na mga comments mas marami na sa Instagram kaysa sa Facebook. When dati, the reason why I was not as engaged on Facebook, it's because maraming bastos na mga nagko-comment. Nowadays, I find it that it's now on Instagram. So I am glad that my decision to make my Instagram account a private one was welcomed by the community. I also noticed that the engagement and the kind of interaction at my Instagram account now is much more healthy, much more insightful, and you are giving me the kind of comments that ang sarap basahin, because kahit na magkakasalungat tayo ng opinion, kaya naman pala natin na mag-coincide, mag-coexist with each other, regardless of our thoughts and opinions on certain issues. So I'm really very thankful for everyone for making that happen. And I hope na we continue, this kind of healthy discussion on any social media platform. Ayan. Medyo sumasakit na ang mata ko kasi it's natutuyaan na siya ng natutuyaan na siya ng tawag nito, ng moisture. Let's just read some final comments and we'll wrap this up. Okay. Discussion, team replay na lang. Kate Del Rosario, do you think that the Philippines unplacement will be precedent for succeeding years to not include the Philippines as semifinalists, similar to what happened to US, India, Venezuela, Colombia? Yes, I think that, okay, this is a bitter pill to swallow, because we've already got an unplacement at Miss Universe. It also gives license to other international pageant organizations na ma-afford naman pala natin, na afford pala ng Miss Universe na na wala si Miss Philippines sa semifinalist. So it allows them, like, it allows them to have that same thing. Now, pwede pala. So I'm sure we might be experiencing other unplacement in the future. So yon. um, Last comment. Okay, Michael Cordoves, dapat kasi hindi nangingialam ang org sa gusto gawin ng delegates, at hindi yung sila masusunod sa dapat, hindi yung sila ang nasusunod, dapat support lang. Sana magising si yes, si National Director. Okay, so thank you everyone for a very insightful, very productive na live stream natin ngayon. I hope na lahat kayo nag-enjoy. For those na hindi pa nagla-like sa ating live stream, please do leave a thumbs up on our live stream and subscribe to our channel para lumaki yung ating community together, and we protect our community and make sure that the community continues to thrive and grow. Ayan. Thank you very much for this very beautiful evening with you guys. Salamat for your insights, for your comments, for leaving a thumbs up, for sharing with this live stream with your friends. This was a very heavy na topic, but it was alleviated by the fact that lahat kayo naging participative, and you allowed me to be able to na mailatag ko muna yung gusto kong sabihin before we had all of these discussions and discourse with each other. Ayan, thank you very much for watching. 2 hours din tong live stream na to, even if I planned only na 1 hour and 30 minutes lang. And in the coming days, we will be planning maybe a live stream din siguro, or a video later on Arboni Gabriel, and what are the things that she did right for her Miss Universe campaign. So ayan, thank you everyone. Good evening, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye and take care.